Hi there, I'm Prajna, and this is my channel. And thank you for tuning in. If you like my videos, please subscribe, comment, share. I love to hear what you have to say, and it helps to kind of fuel the content. So today, I want to talk. I'm still clearing up here, but I want to speak about discomfort in a different way because I often hear about um, kind of holding ourselves back because of the concern of being uncomfortable. And life is uncomfortable, and there isn't any growth that happens without some degree of discomfort. So, as a way of an example, I just came back from some retreats in Europe, and I have a favorite reflection. I actually just shared it in my newsletter because it's such an excellent demonstration of what can happen when we afford ourselves the opportunity to show up for something, even when we feel fear or anxiety or all the uncertainty that we have, anyways. But maybe it's even conscious about stepping into something that we've never done before. And then the benefits that take place when we let ourselves be in that place of discomfort, in that place of not knowing. So if you don't get my newsletter, you can go to prajnaohara.com and sign up for it. I send it out monthly and I put a lot of thought into it. And it also will show what events I have coming up. I don't do as much as I used to, but I still have some things. As people who meet me on retreats, you already know that my passion, my favorite thing is to meet with people in person. And that's where I feel I really get to shine with all of the different gifts that I've collected over decades of working with people and doing my own inner work. So here is a favorite reflection. I may need to make this a little bit bigger so I can read it. It's right here on my screen. Okay. And this is from a woman. She says, "Oh, what can I say? My husband had briefed me on your work, and having seen the dramatic shifts in his life since attending your ceremonies, I wanted to share time with you also. I was wary for fear of being out of control. Hence, the tobacco ceremony sounded like a perfect introduction. I was massively naive to the immense power of the medicine I was to receive. I was expecting a sense of love and light, but I'll be honest, the whole ceremony was really, really hard, in capital HARD, physically and emotionally. It kind of felt like a slow motion nightmare I couldn't escape. I love this. Your support and guidance during the ceremony were truly wonderful, but I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, completely knocked sideways. I spent that night still feeling horribly nauseous and completely overwhelmed, a feeling which continued for the whole weekend. When I got home, I was initially unable to see any benefit other than to make me feel worse. I felt really low for a few days. So here we have a few days of, first of all, the anticipation of being wary and all of that, and maybe not coming and not really knowing what, you're getting into, and then really low for a few days. But then a few days later, something shifted, and I felt the most incredible surge of power. It became so clear to me how much power I have over my life and myself, and it is still continuing to do so. Since then, I also have so much more energy. Oops. So much more energy. I am facing everyday challenges and interactions with people in a completely different way. My perspective of how I interact with people, which was previously fairly submissive, has changed completely. I feel confident to speak, confident to stand in my power, and confident to have a voice and opinion. And it feels amazing. I meet this so often when people come on retreats for the first time, and they're kind of shy and a bit submissive, and really have introjected the messages of our culture for not just women, but men as well. Men in the way of sometimes feeling it not okay to be vulnerable, to express feelings. So we really, in these retreats, we get to experience our sameness, in all of the different human emotions and the array in which psychically we show up, regardless of whether you're in a male or a female body. or whatever you identify with as your gender. So here she continues. It's quite long. She says, "My husband says I'm even standing and holding myself differently. One of the things that keeps coming to me is the vision of you holding the queen sword, which is one of the tools I work with, and asking me to say, I am a queen. I now feel like a queen, and it's brilliant." That would have previously been an affirmation I have seen other people say, but never felt able to say to myself or know how to access it. So for all of this, I'm unbelievably grateful from the bottom of my heart and my existence on this planet. I am forever in awe of your work and for the way one single ceremonial experience has helped me step into what was always rightly mine, but never previously felt. While I initially felt sad that grandfather tobacco did not provide me with a gentle, supportive, nurturing ceremony, I am now incredibly grateful for the clarification and strength it has provided. So this is from VL. So, so I don't talk a lot about the work that I do with plant medicine, but the primary plant that I work with is the master plant tobacco, which is the foundation of all the other plants. And people who train specifically to work with plant medicine, it is the first plant that you work with that guides all the other plants, and it's the foundation in the sense that it really does everything all the other plants do. It guides and steers, protects, and integrates and offers safety and grounding and integration and so many other things. And it really works deeply in cleaning the blood, different organs. And one ceremony here is somebody speaking about what happened for her in just one ceremony, where prior she saw massive shifts in her husband who had been on full length retreats. So here, because of the way that she showed up and her willingness to be in that discomfort and to just not walk away from it, she stayed, and something really powerful happened for her, which I'm always so delighted to receive reports like this, which I actually receive quite often. So this is my passion, this particular work. And I'll say another thing is, it's not a magic cure for anything. Working with plant medicine, when I offer these retreats, I integrate all other kinds of things within the container, the primary ingredient being safety and knowing how to guide and facilitate people on their journeys. And I bring all the tools that I've gathered for 3 decades of being a therapist and also doing my own inner work and raising daughters with brain injuries and learning about trauma, working with trauma, my own and others. So there's so many aspects. And if a person doesn't have the proper training and the guidance, things can go wrong. Like she says in here that I knew she was having a challenge, and there were other people in the room as well. But I also know what's on the other side of that. And I know that we can stay with, and that when we stay with something and we let ourselves move through discomfort, that something is clearing, something is being lifted, a cleaning is happening. In many places, well, actually, all places that I've been involved with in South America, smoke is a very strong aspect of ceremony because the smoke is the first introduction of clearing. Like it can clear emotional fields, negativity. I mean, just like the smoke itself, you don't use it like it's not a cigarette, it's sacred tobacco. And that smoke alone can start to clear the field around you emotionally and mentally and start to bring you into almost like a cloud of smoky safety. And some people are really uncomfortable with that, but and I see that too. And some people will walk away from it and not come back because they're not really ready to do the inner work. And the smoke is like creating a bubble of safety around each person and the space so that we can go inside and do this deeper healing, like really looking and unburying, making what's been invisible visible. How long have I been going so far? Oh my. Yeah. So let me just lastly say that, and this to speak personally about my own discomfort. I almost didn't go on my trip to Europe, and I had several events that I was committed to, and I thought, well, if you don't go to these, you might as well just um, cancel out altogether because this isn't going to land very well on the people who are waiting for you. So I did go, but I had been in my writing cave for 3 months, and I'm working on memoir. So I'm writing, true lived experiences. And in it, what I'm finding, because I was afforded this luxury to write for the last 3 months, where I have additional help with my daughters who have disabilities. And this is rarely the case where I can spend so much time to really go deep and develop this craft of writing. And in it, they talk about the shitty first draft, but there's so many revisions, revising to actually get to the nuts and bolts of the actual experience as it happened, and to be able to communicate in a way that a person can be in that scene with you, be in that experience with you, and benefit from it. So it's really an art, and I actually kind of like it. But what I found is that it had really, I was processing many things in the writing. And in a way, I was between worlds, like in a liminal space. And I find that I'm in this often. And part of it has to do of this past 15 years of training and working with plant medicine, and many, many years since I was in my early 20s of working in the dream spaces, and really finding myself in so many different worlds all at once, and being different ages, and reliving different memories, and becoming different people, even becoming the characters and the stories. So I didn't know for a bit, who am I even right now? Like, who am I right now? You know? And like this mystery of identity, like it doesn't have one solid place to land. It hasn't for a while, but I feel more and more this liminal space of moving between worlds, between ages, between characters, kind of like a shapeshifter. And I'm getting comfortable with it. So I wasn't sure I'd be resourced enough in a particular identity, in a role to play in these particular retreats that were coming up for me. But I was wrong. It turned out that I was more resourced because I had encountered such a deep process within myself. So the more that we do our inner work, the more available we are to the people that we meet. So there isn't shame or judgment or blame. All these things are washing away when we do our inner work, and we're untangled from the narratives that may have guided or informed how we live. So when we don't have that narrative guiding or informing us, it's kind of cool, to kind of just take one step forward at a time, and to feel, well, who am I and what am I right now in this moment? So in my work, I love this because I get to be that for people as they come onto retreat, and they get to come and stand in the center. And I ask these questions and facilitate the same kind of process for them in a whole variety of different ways, which I might not know at all from the start what is going to unfold. And I'm just listening and following, and sensing and feeling what wants to happen for this particular person. And the beautiful thing in doing these retreats and being in these circles that are really safe and held very gently with a lot of trust that gets developed, that's the first thing. And when that foundation is there, we all benefit so deeply from each other. There's such a beautiful, beautiful healing and bonding. And it's almost like we're weaving a web that actually has been there forever and always, beyond all time, before all time, but it's becoming visible in a sensory way. Does that make sense? Like a tactile way of feeling this interconnectivity between all of us. Like we're not separate individuals ever. And when we come out of our narrative and we do exactly as this woman did in her shyness and her wariness, and showed up and let herself be uncomfortable in the not knowing of what was going to happen, the transformation took place. She was willing, to be uncomfortable long enough for herself to really experience a transformation. So, what does that mean, transformation? I mean, I probably have to stop this video, but I could talk, but I have been talking about that. It's a shift in identity where you can't hold yourself in an old narrative any longer. And even the impulse, perhaps, to hook into a new narrative isn't there either. And it's the growth and the learning in that is becoming comfortable with not owning a narrative. I mean, like owning yourself, yeah, owning yourself as a mystery, but not locked into a particular narrative. Wow, I hope that makes sense. So it's really a pleasure to talk to my screen and to hope that you are there listening and benefiting from anything I might have to say. So, like, share, and I try to get on once a week, and I love to hear your comments. So, have a beautiful day, and don't forget to show up for you because you are the one that matters most. Yeah, take good care.